Hello, everybody. This is John McCormick, and I have the honor of interviewing again a wonderful, talented writer and author, Dorothy Robey. Dorothy, welcome.
Thank you for having me again.
So, we're going to talk about tonight what you've recently been published, and then also talk about what you're currently working on, too. But
Mhm.
before we get into that, what I wanted to do is just mention, you've been really busy. You've published 4 novels in the last year and a few months. And this is all during a pandemic. So, you've been very busy and being productive. I mean, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, I've worked on them for a few years, but it's taken
Yeah,
a while to get it done. So
yeah, and it's all coming together. That's
yeah.
wonderful. So now, your first novel, Passage of Promise, that was released in May of 2020.
Mhm.
And then your second novel, What She Didn't Know, was published in March of this year.
Yes.
And then you recently published 2 new books, Behind the Stone House and The Rocky Retreat. And The Rocky Retreat is actually an ebook, not a
Yes.
paper book.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about that too. But now, before we talk about your new novels, your new books, what can you tell us about your debut novel, Passage of Promise?
Yes. Passage of Promise was the longest writing endeavor. It
Yeah,
took me a long time to get that. That was when I was coming back to writing. So of course it took longer, you know. And so uh, it's a very inspirational piece. I consider it. It's a lot of people like it because it's not too heavy, and it has you could really relate to the person, Marina,
right,
and
right,
she and her journey to becoming to kind of overcome all of her problems because she has relationship problems with her mother, uh, people she dates,
yeah,
her
yeah,
sister. I mean, everybody, it seems like. And
right,
then, she has that, and then she has fears with her nephew who gets sick. So she doesn't know how to deal with that. And then when she's told to go to Greece to get the miraculous icon, it helps her to, I think, deal with it in a way that she can away from that scene, having to be in it. She was able to go away and be helpful over there, and while being there, learning so much from it,
right, right,
learning how to deal with it and about herself, really. I think there's a lot of self-discovery in that. So
right, right.
yeah, she does that, and then I think she gains a lot of courage through that too, that helps her to deal with whatever comes when she returns, which is another part of the story. So, you don't want to give that away. So,
That's right. Not too much information. But I did want to say, your writing style really helps me personally, and I'm sure it does with a lot of other readers, just feel the story completely. I mean, with all the senses, I mean, I could feel what she was going through, and I think all your writing does that, and you really know how to touch someone so they can feel it personally. That's how I feel
oh,
about it.
thank you. That's very nice of you to say. I
Well,
try. That's part of
yeah,
why. That's part of the reason why I write, is so that I can touch people, like you said, and
yeah,
people can relate,
absolutely.
in whatever way they want to relate.
Yeah,
Because it's
absolutely.
going to be different for everybody.
Sure, sure. Well, now you finished that novel, and within a year, the same, in a period of a year, you wrote your second novel, well, had it published. You said you've been working on these novels for a
Right, right,
while,
right, right.
but I mean, you had it published, and that's What She Didn't Know. Now, can you tell us a little bit about that novel?
Yes, that one involves three sisters that grow up in a abusive home with an alcoholic, physically abusive father, and a mother that really is kind of she's a victim as well. So she's kind of messed up from the
Right.
beginning on that too. It's really all about dysfunction and how each person, each sister gets through that, of what, through their childhood and how they interact with people, because each one of them has a different way of interacting. So some of them, one of them will be more sensitive than the other.
Right.
I
others. Remember that.
Yes. So you have one that's really sensitive and kind of naive and kind of just doesn't really get, she wants to be loved is what it is. And she just doesn't know how, and she, so each one struggles with really wanting to feel accepted and loved is really what it is.
Right.
So they just have a different take, and that's it's a very character driven novel. So everything has to do with how they perceive life, each one, each sister.
Sure.
And so that's what it's all about. It's a very heady novel. It's my deepest novel, meaning meaty.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
meaty.
There's a lot in there.
There is a lot in there. There's a lot of messages. There's a lot of stuff in there. And it's not something I think that people can just read lightly. And that's probably why it's something you have to really get into. It's not an easy piece,
Well, it keeps you guessing. And I mean, all the way to the end. I couldn't, when I read it, I wasn't sure where the title came from, but boy, when I read it, I finally figured it out, at the end. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, and you could read that in so many different ways too.
So many different ways.
And that's what makes it so neat, is that
Yeah.
each person actually, you could say that. Each of the sisters, you could say, what do they know? What do they don't know? Because they each kind of have their own discoveries, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I did want to mention, we talked about your journey from being that 12-year-old girl, writing her first story on her father's typewriter, to now being a published author. I mean, you've come a long way from that little girl, So what I wanted to do now is talk about your new novels, your new books. You have Behind the Stone House, which I read, and I just really loved it. But can you tell us a little bit about it? And then I'll tell you what I thought too.
Oh, well, that one, sometimes people ask me how I come up with these stories, and I really don't know. They just come to me.
Well, that was going to be one of my questions. So yeah.
That one, I don't know how it just came to me, Gabrielle's story, because I don't know. I just went into this world of homelessness, and I don't really know what brought me to that point, but I felt like it was an important story to tell, because sometimes people don't know. I mean, a lot of us, we don't really know how people live who are homeless, unless you know somebody.
Right.
And so it's kind of like a nice way of delving into somebody's circumstances for a while, to see how they are, and to also show that you can't really judge somebody by that particular thing, just that alone, I think. And so it has a lot of that kind of message in there, I think. I do think it's a very touching and inspirational one.
Yes.
I would consider it kind of one of my most poignant and sweet ones, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I really, the way you write, it really makes you really care about the characters and the main
Oh,
characters. And I really couldn't wait to hear how it was going to end. I mean,
oh,
yeah, yeah.
what did you think of that?
I loved it. I loved the mystery of what was going on with
Oh,
with certain
right.
things, and just wondering if there's going to be a solution or at the end, and there was. So I enjoyed it.
And of course, that one is more suspenseful. So there's
Yes,
the element there that isn't, I mean, I have some suspense in a passage and, some suspense in the other, in what you didn't know, obviously. But I mean, this is more of actual suspense. So it's got a lot more, you can actually tell that's more of the genre than the others.
yeah,
But it's, yeah, I do like it. I do like I make it very human. That's what I like about that story. It's very human. It's very much, I actually, I try to do this with all my short stories, is to not do what the norm is in culture and try to
yeah.
change it up a bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Because there's always this kind of expectation of
right,
how you think people should be, or how you think it's going to be.
right,
uh well, they should do this or they should do that, and or they, you should feel a certain way about people who are in tough circumstances, and I just think it's important, because I think there's a level of forgiveness in that's sometimes is missing in our society. So
yes, yes,
that's what I tried to do with that, was to show that. And as you know, I have my critique group, and everybody has
yes.
their own opinions on that, but
Oh, I
that's kind
know.
of how I that's kind of how I was like, no, I want it to be this way. Because, like I said, I didn't want to follow the same way of doing things, because that's just not how I write.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. That's what makes it more unique then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, I noticed in this story, like in your previous novels, you sometimes do touch on faith in your stories. How important is that to you in your writing?
Um, it's just a natural, organic thing that happens in my writing. It's almost like I mean, it's a way of life. So it just kind of, I actually had a critiquer say she really liked how I wove in the character's faith, because it's so naturally done that it's just part of who they are and part of their life. And that's how, I mean, it just, I I almost always write, like I told you, almost always have that in there. There's just a few short stories where I may not have it as noticeable, like the Rocky Retreat.
Right, I was going to say, yeah, the Rocky Retreat.
I
Right.
just like totally, that was just so fun. But
Yeah, yeah.
it was just fun to do that. But
Well, that's great. Well, let's talk about the Rocky Retreat. I mean, I read it and I loved going on that little journey with them at the retreat and all the, what's going to happen and all that. So tell us a little bit about what's the story about.
it's about a couple of environmentalists. They go on a retreat. It's kind of like an annual thing. They go every year to wherever it's going to be held, on their whatever the subject is at that time. At this time, it was the wetlands and the wildlife, and it seems that she didn't. Callie, who's the main character, may not have picked the best weekend to have
Right.
gone and done her retreat, but the characters are fun in that.
They are.
They're just. I wanted to make sure that it's hard in these days to do anything political, and then they'll take it as, oh, well, this, you get the grumpy people who read it, and you're thinking, no, this is just supposed to be making fun of everybody, and this
Right,
is kind
right.
of the light piece that I really laugh every time actually I read it myself, because it's fun. It's just, I like to show, the main thing I tried to show in that is how ridiculous and hypocritical and extreme people can be.
Yes.
So that was kind of the whole point, but I also wanted to show that everybody's human, and that everybody has these ideas of somebody else. And then you realize, okay, well, they're just people like me. And that
Right.
was important for me to put in there too, and I just try to show that, in everything that I write.
Yeah. Well, you did a good job. You did.
Oh, well,
I
thank
mean,
you.
you took all these controversial topics and you blended them together, at the same time, which made it even more, I think, dynamic because, just like you said, it was a fun piece to really read too.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
I hope you enjoyed it.
I did enjoy it. Yeah, I can't wait to hear all the stuff that you're working on now too. But we're going to talk about that in a minute. you know. But well, actually, why don't we talk about that now? What exactly are you working on?
Uh, my next novella, which it's probably about 20,000 words longer than the Behind the Stone House. So it's called Painted with Good Intentions. And this one is a mixture of a lot of things. It's set back in Santorini. So it's going to be on the island, the Greek island of Santorini. And you have so much in this. You have romance, supernatural, Christian themes, suspense, mystery, humor. So it's all kind of mixed together. And everybody really, all my critique partners really like that one.
Yeah.
They really love to write about, to read it and say, they could laugh at parts, they could be touched by parts. And that's what I always try to do, take every aspect
Mhm.
and put it into one, because that's what I like to watch. That's what I like to read.
Right, exactly.
So you usually write what you like to read,
That's true. That's true.
So, yeah, it's great. It's it's like two couples of two best friends, and they go to the island for vacation, and it's two guys and two girls, and it becomes kind of a crazy thing, because none of them, the two main characters, aren't really interested in meeting anybody. So it's kind of funny. And then the other two are kind of the sidekicks. Are just they're the ones that are the humorous. So, anyway, that one I'm revising right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm in that process, and I'm hoping by early next year, I will give it to my editor. I'm hoping to have it out, I guess, probably early spring. So
Wow, that's nice.
we'll see. I'm working on it. I mean, I've worked on it. I started that in I think it was April 2020.
Oh, okay.
So not too long. It's more recent, this one. It's not as
Oh.
long, but it's one of my favorites, actually. I mean, I love all my characters, so can't say that I,
Right.
like, but it's one of my favorites, because it's such an endearing story. It's got everything in it. That's
Well,
all.
well, I look forward to reading it. Like I said, I've enjoyed all your stories, all
Well,
your
thank
books
you.
and novels. And now how can someone get a copy or an ebook or for all your
Oh, yes.
writing?
Yeah, and this will be both an ebook and print.
Okay.
But you can get my books in several places, actually. You can get them online through Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and I'm not sure about others right that time, but I know you can get them in the library, the county library, which is
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
yes, in Colorado, and then there's a bookstore there that carries my books. So
That's
it's
awesome.
in the town Castle Rock. So if you're in the Castle Rock, Colorado area, you can actually get it at the library or get it at Sudden Fiction Books, which is the name of the store. So there's a lot of different, ways to obtain them, whether you want print or ebook or library.
Sure, sure. So what else have you done to promote your books?
I had a signing, and trying to think, it was at my church,
Oh,
and
okay.
I did that, and that was really nice. It's nice when you have kind of your own, parishioners checking out your books, because they knew you before you were writing, so it's kind of neat to say, hey, this is our friend from church, and here she is writing, so
I
it's,
did see that on Facebook, the display it was of your books. I thought that was just really awesome.
oh, thanks. Yeah, it was great. A lot of people, I'm in a small church community, but they're so supportive, and they really were interested. They really wanted to check out. Some of them wanted to check out all three of them. Others wanted the newest, because they've been keeping up. So
That's
they were able to
wonderful.
get that there instead of just going online. They could get a signed copy. So it was nice.
Yeah, well, that's great. And I can't wait, like I said, to read more of your work. It's just, it's
Thank
always
you.
a joy. And then, of course, when you do publish again, you got to come back and we got to talk again and talk about it. This is like our fourth interview.
Yeah. I know. I really appreciate that you always give me the time to talk about this, because it's an important aspect of me. So I
Yeah,
appreciate
absolutely.
that.
So now let's talk about how someone can follow you. We talked about how they get copies of your book, but how can they follow you? I know that you have a author's page on Facebook.
Yes. There's that. There's the Dorothy Robey pen name Dorothea Anna on Facebook. And then there's I have a blog called Modest Musings. And that one, you can go there, and I obviously advertise there as well, all my books.
Okay,
And then
great.
I'm also on Twitter, so same name on Twitter.
And then YouTube also, you have .r as your channel. And
Yes, thanks for reminding me.
have you been publishing or putting more videos on there yet, or are you thinking to use it more? Or
I haven't done it there, but I do put little videos in my blog.
oh, okay.
They can, if you sign up for my blog there, you can follow little updates that I have on my writing there. So
Okay, that's great. I did want to mention you do have one video on YouTube called Falling Upstairs. It's a play you wrote. It's very humorous. So I just wanted to mention that. Again, we've talked about it before, but I just thought it was important to let everyone know that if they want to see a play that you wrote that's been recorded on video, they can go to YouTube and see it.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah, that's fun. I watch that every now and then for a laugh.
yeah, it's very funny. Is there? Oh, I did want to mention that your first novel was written under Dorothy Robey, but I just want to make sure everyone knew that your last three novels, book stories and books have been written under Dorothea Anna.
Yes, my
Yeah,
pen name. Right.
right, your pen name. So I just wanted to make that clear. And
Thank you.
then, is there anything else you wanted to tell us tonight about what you're working on or about your writing or just anything?
I want to say, actually, I want to say I appreciate everybody who reads, purchases, and reads and reviews, and all of my critique partners that have helped me, my editor. I wouldn't be anywhere without all of them, because it's just part of where I am because of that. That's part of my success. I consider myself successful. I'm not, J.K. Rowling, but I
Hey,
feel successful in just the fact that people are interested in my books, and people I don't know. And I find that interesting. Here's my cat.
hey, kitty.
So, I mean, that's the thing that's important, is knowing that I have people who are interested,
Yeah.
and it means a lot to me. And I just want to make sure that everybody knows that I really appreciate that I have these people that care about what I write.
No, that's wonderful. And we do care very much. Well, I just wanted to thank you again, for giving me the honor and the opportunity to talk to you again about your work. And I look forward to you coming back again when you have more to share. And so, I mean, I think that'll be just awesome to do that. And well, I guess I just want to say, thanks again, and good night for now, and Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas. Oh, and that's a great gift, a Christmas gift, or the books.
Oh, yes, yes. Let's talk about that. Yes, definitely. And then also, let's see, that'd be a good, but I want to make sure that they know to also leave a review for you. Don't just read the books, but also leave a nice review, because I've checked your reviews out. They're always 5 stars.
Well,
So
I really appreciate that. I think that sometimes people don't understand, or most people don't know about it, because if you're not a writer, you don't really know how important those kind of things are. Reviews are very important to the author's noticeability and ranking on sites like Amazon.
right.
So I think there's actually a measurement there of maybe 25 to 30 books. Oops. Where did I go?
That's your kitty doing that?
Yes. Where did I go? How do I bring it back up? There it is. Yeah, that was her getting into things. But I mean, I think it's like 25 or 30 reviews. Then your book is pretty much suggested to those who are reading the same kind of genre. So readers that go in there, they're looking at a book. Mine might show up in that same type of genre, and you only get that at certain. You have to have so many reviews, but it's important because it's almost like a word of mouth thing that
Sure.
you need with readers. So, and like I said, I don't know who's checking out my books at the library, but it's great.
I wanted to tell you, I try to do my best to get your work out there too.
Yes, I know. I thank you very
I've
much.
gone to the library here in San Francisco, so I've submitted your book. So
Oh, thank you.
I have to follow up and make sure and see if they're there. So I've got to do that, and I'll let you know.
Well,
You
thank you.
know, yeah, absolutely. Well, it's just been a pleasure talking to you, and again, happy holidays,
Yes,
and we will talk again soon.
yes. So thank you very much for the interview, for the time. I always enjoy it. And yes, Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy holidays. And we'll see each other again next year for
Yeah,
another
absolutely.
round.
Yeah, we sure will. Well, have a good night.
Yes, you too.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Hey.